folks. So as you can see, I got some food laid out here. This little video, I'm just gonna talk about what works for me, what I enjoy, some of the snacks I bring, some of the meals I bring, what I avoid on the hill. You know, we've said it a bunch of times, we're doing long extended trips throughout the season. And you know, we're not just going out for a couple weekends. So some of these 10, 12 day trips are stacked on top of each other. So there's a couple things that I do that help with that. Number one is variety. You kind of have to have some variety in your meals and your snacks. You know, I think back in the day when I was teens and 20s, I just kind of rolled with the same thing and it didn't bother me, but I wasn't hunting as much. I wasn't spending that much time out there. You know, it'd be like a 3-dayer. So it didn't just stack up day after day and get to me. Now I gotta have variety. I gotta have a lot of different options. I gotta build my day packs, snack bags differently on a 10-day trip. So I'm gonna quick run through that. I think I'll just start off with some of the meals first off. When it comes to meals, we've talked about dehydrating food for years, and I know a lot of guys are starting to do that, which is great. And then freeze drying has become a big part of our hunting foods now. We do our own. So I got a freeze dryer going on 3 years ago now, and I've been utilizing that a lot. I still use my dehydrator for some things, but I like to do kind of a happy mix of foods that come from companies that I think are crushing it as far as like quality and taste. And then I also like to do foods that, you know, are my recipes, and then I build, you know, on my own at the house. I get to utilize a lot of the chicken eggs. I get to utilize a lot of the meat, breakfast sausages and things like that that I harvested the year prior. So when it comes to breakfast, I'll start off there. Usually what I'm eating for breakfast is something that I've concocted myself. A lot of that comes in the way of scrambles. You know, my scrambles are simple. It's just eggs, a bunch of vegetables, sometimes onions. Sometimes I'll throw hash browns in there, and then some, or just sliced up potatoes or whatever, and then some type of a sausage. So I'll have like a wild game breakfast sausage in there of some sort. Most of my meals this year are utilizing moose sausage from last year, and so a lot of these have that. Same with my biscuits and gravy. You know, I'll make these sourdough biscuits, or my daughter does. They're really good, and then I just build a gravy out of the moose sausage that I made last year. So those are two meals that, when I say variety, I don't get too much in the weeds on breakfast. I could eat scrambles and biscuits and gravy every day for the most part. I don't really get sick of those. But when it comes to dinners, I'll mix it up. I've probably got a dozen different recipes that I'll build myself. Most of those now are coming in the way of the freeze dryers. So spaghettis, stews, barbecue pork and rice, quinoa dishes, curry dishes. You know, there's just, sky's the limit when it comes to building your own foods. I just try to make them clean, you know, foods that come out of the garden or they come out of the freezer for the most part, with some type of grain, whether that's a rice, a brown rice, a quinoa, whatever you prefer. There's a lot of companies now. We're not tied into these companies like we were 10 years ago that didn't have maybe the best quality ingredients, and they kind of made you feel a little rotten. But man, we're in an era right now where there is a bunch of companies just crushing it. You know, Peak Refuel is a big one that everybody knows about. They're doing a great job. There's other companies just here in Bozeman, Gastronome. Wild Society is a company I came across lately. These guys, right now, they own it for me when I'm taking food into the backcountry that's not my own. I don't know that there's a better meal than this beef bulgogi that they make, but their spaghettis are good. Everything they build is good. They've got chicken pad thai and just a whole host of different recipes, and they've obviously put their ingredients together well, because I have not talked to anybody that doesn't like them, but really good stuff. So I would just say, you know, do your own research. Either build your own to how you like it, which is what I'd recommend, or, you know, look for those companies that are putting good, clean ingredients in their dishes. And this company happens to also give 20% back to conservation. And so they work a lot with Wild Sheep and those organizations. So love supporting those guys as well. When it comes to snacks, you know, my snacks might be a little bit different than others. You're not going to see a lot of bars, like processed bars with wrappers on them that you get, you know, from REI. I went through the days of Cliff bars and Power bars and all that junk, and man, I don't think I could choke another one down. And those days were like 15, 20 years ago, and I still can't take them. I just prefer to build my own, or, you know, find bars that just don't get tiring. So like for bars, I build, it's basically like a macaroon. It's just a coconut cookie with honey, a little oat flour, and that's it. Super easy to make. You can sit down and in 15 minutes you can make a pile of these cookies, and then I toss them in the dehydrator and then just single or double bag them like that. Those are really good. There's a lot of good fats in the coconut. And then one, I guess I do bring some of these F-bombs. This stuff's just hard to beat. You know, this is a salted chocolate macadamia nut butter. Really good. There's 200 calories in here. It kind of breaks up some of the other stuff I'm doing. When it comes to other nuts and seeds, I just go to Costco and I grab a half a dozen different bags of nuts, whether it's pecans, walnuts, almonds, pumpkin seeds, a little bit of granola, and I'll just build these bags, and I'll build like 20 bags and throw them in a bin, and I'll grab one of those on occasion. Real easy to make, and I don't really get tired of little trail mix bags that I've made myself. Sometimes I bring jerky. Like I said, I'm not bringing, this isn't one day bag, it's just some ideas. I do like wild game jerky. I've got a lot of meat, so I use it. And that goes in the dehydrator. These are leathers. You can build all the leathers you want if you have a dehydrator. And those happen to be sweet potato leathers. It's just a little bit of pear, sweet potatoes or yams, and honey mixed together, pureed, freeze-dried, real easy to make. And then if you freeze, or dehydrated, sorry. If you freeze dry the same puree mix, you get these little sweet potato bites, these little nuggets. These things are really good as well. Just a different texture when it's freeze dried versus a leather on the dehydrator. I do a lot of fruits. So I don't do a lot of processed sugar, but I do fruit. So I got to be careful. I can't just eat fruit all day, obviously, but you know, berries are easy to do, freeze dryer or dehydrator. These days I prefer the freeze dryer. You retain all the nutrients, and this is probably my favorite snack of the day, is just grabbing the bag of mixed fruits. I've got, usually there's some bananas, some strawberries, you know, mangoes, pineapples, melons of any sort. Just mix them up, and that's a pretty good snack bag. One thing I've been doing lately in the freeze dryer as well is these, they're kind of just like a protein smoothie, and I just put them in the trays and I put dividers in there. So I've got our Stealthy Nutrition bone broth protein powder in here. This has peanut butter in it. I blend it together with some, you know, milk and make this a really good smoothie, and then I freeze dry it, and then I bag it up and I take that up there, and I don't generally add water to rehydrate it. I usually just chew on it like it is. This one happens to be a vanilla banana strawberry of the same, just a smoothie that I take up there. So, and then one thing that is an everyday pack is a packet of bone broth, and I'll often do this as a kind of a midday snack, or I'll do it for breakfast. Sometimes when I'm just not feeling it, getting up a little bit extra early, I'll do this. And not in replacement of coffee, but before I even have my coffee. And that might get me to my glassing spot. But 10 grams of protein in each one of these sticks. And these things are also nifty to have if you get an animal down, you want to boil some meat, like you get a ptarmigan or you get a grouse or whatever. You can cut that meat up, that bird up, and kind of stew it in this bone broth. So I always have that in every day bag of food. Some of the extras I'll throw in there, you know, for my meals. I always carry these little Tony Sachery packets, just a seasoning packet. It's a Creole seasoning. I don't think you'll find better. For some of the spaghetti mixes, I'll bring these little grated Parmesan cheese packets, super lightweight. I'll throw a couple of those in there. Most of my meals, I'll add either a coconut oil or extra virgin olive oil packet. That usually gives me another 240 calories just in a small dose, 1 ounce dose. And you know, I'll add that to one of my meals and it'll just crank up those calories at the end of the day. You can do it in your breakfast as well. So those usually find their way in there as well, but pretty easy, pretty simple. It's kind of just some ideas. These are what work for me. I'd always recommend you just figuring out what works for you and going with that. I know some guys, they can get away with just eating bars off the shelf, and they seem to do okay. It doesn't work for me. I just don't have that energy, and I don't look forward to eating the snacks that I build myself throughout the day. So the only thing I don't have shown here is every day I'm pounding electrolytes throughout the day, and typically my electrolyte of choices are Stealthy Nutrition E-Charge, and we burn through a lot of that. I'm out of it, so I don't have it in front of me, waiting for some to come in. But for the most part, this is just my kit. This is what works for me, and I'm sure everybody's got their own, but those are some ideas. I know the freeze dryer is definitely an investment, but I would make the argument to anyone that it's one of those lifetime purchases that's gonna change your game, especially if you're someone that already spends a ton of time in the mountains, you travel a lot with your job, whatever, you know, they come in real handy. And the price of these meals are pretty significant. So if you're spending 40, 50, 120 days in the field every year, maybe not just on hunts, but out adventuring, you know, then it makes sense, and it makes sense pretty quickly. So that's it. That's my kit, and that's what works for me.